you know what? Why don't we just jump right into the games? Let's do that. No reason to look at our schedule. We're doing good. Sixers laying 7.5 tonight in Philly. Game one, obviously, Sixers won that one, 131-111. Tyrese Maxey went off. He had 38 points. Tobias Harris had 26. But really, Alex touched on it. The story in this game is that Scotty Barnes is out or doubtful for this game with that foot injury. Joel Embiid stepped on his foot in that last game and looked pretty painful. Gary Trent Jr. is also doubtful with an illness, non-COVID related, and Thaddeus Young also doubtful. So pretty short-handed Raptors team here tonight in Philadelphia. Chris, what do you look at in this game? Any angles that you have your eye on?
Well, across the board, I have my eyes on that angle that I mentioned, right? None of these teams who lost game one are going to want to go 0-2. That's a really bad position to be in, particularly if those two games that started the series were at home, right? That's what the Mavs are facing tonight. Alex mentioned that on Friday. To go to Utah 0-2 would be a really tough start for the Mavericks in that series. But in this series, too, right, that's the last thing that the Raptors want. They don't want to go 0-2 to a Philly team who looked incredible in that opening game against the Raptors. But let's keep things into perspective here a little bit. At least that's what I'm trying to do with these 76ers. They've looked very average at times throughout this whole season, right? And at best, they've been maybe consistently a top 5 team in the East. You can say that, but consistency really hasn't been the word for them this year, you know. And what they did on Saturday was the only thing we could expect in this game is a little bit of negative regression back to the mean because they were so spectacular. I mean, their offensive efficiency rating was 147.2, and that wasn't. I believe that was under 100 total possessions. So that's a 1.48 points per possession. That just doesn't happen, right? It doesn't happen in the NBA. That's so hyper efficient. It's insane. 50% from beyond the arc, only 4 turnovers, only 18 fouls. And then James Harden looked like the best form of himself. 14 assists in that game, which I think is the James Harden that could help this Philly team get into the finals if he keeps on playing like that. I'm just not sure if I can trust that. Those are all abnormal, tendencies for the 76ers. This is a team that's 43% at home against the spread on the year, the 45% ATS after a win. And these Raptors, for what it's worth, I know they're without Gary Trent Jr. tonight. They're probably going to be without Scotty Barnes. But, this is a really well-coached team. They fight hard. They hung in that game with the 76ers offensively for a while. But, ultimately it was too much to overcome. But I expect much better defense from the Raptors tonight. And even if they don't play the best version of their own defense, Philadelphia is not going to shoot that spectacularly again. And without Gary Trent Jr. on the court and Scotty Barnes, if anything, the Raptors' defensive unit is going to have more length. They're going to have to keep that length out there. And we really haven't seen OG Anunoby really be, really explode like he did earlier in the year either. So I'm going to look for an angle on the Raptors. I think 7.5 is pretty good. I would still lean their direction full game, but I think they're going to come out pretty tough and show a lot more defense. So I'm going to take them in the first quarter +3. That line is off for me. It's a little too many points for an underdog that's really wants to win this game.
Alex, our first quarter guy, what's your model say for Sixers-Raptors first quarter?
I had this pretty close to the number. Came out just right around 2.5, 3 in favor of the Sixers. As I think about the full game, I like what Chris is doing, trying to figure out, kind of what things are going to progress here. Fantastic Tyrese Maxey game. I think what you saw in that game one for the Sixers, what the ability of getting him the ball in open space in the fast break really does for that team. I mean, James Harden is getting him the ball. He's up. It's running. It's fantastic. It's a lot of fun to watch. But, they're not going to shoot. That's probably unlikely to happen. I mean, 14 for 21. Maybe Tyrese Maxey will do that again in his career. Probably not this postseason. The Sixers were 16 for 32 from 3. That's probably not going to happen. They only turned the ball over 4 times. That's not going to happen. But what is going to happen is they're going to have a free throw advantage, 34-23 in last game. We're going to continue to see that. They're the most fouled team in the NBA with Embiid and James Harden on the floor. They won the offensive rebounding matchup. They're going to do that again tonight. And I just really worry with this Raptors team where you look, they had 7 guys play more than 6 minutes in game one. 5 of those guys are only going to be on the court tonight. And we know that OG Anunoby is still beat up. I mean, he was pretty nicked up towards the end of the season. And I wonder, as much as the Raptors don't want to go home 0-2, I wonder if they kind of look at this game, and unless things start out well, which, we can see a path to that happening, I wonder if they kind of pack it up, try not to get anybody hurt, and just get out of Philadelphia and try to steal 2 games at home in Toronto.
Yeah, that's one thing that I'm a little bit concerned about is the Raptors lineup. I mean, Nick Nurse plays a pretty short lineup to begin with. They only had played 8 deep in game 1, and now without 2 of those players. So, I mean, he's got to play more than 6 guys. Who's going to step in there? So, Chris, I do like your first quarter angle with the Raptors because with that short lineup playing so many minutes, I don't know if the full game they'll be able to cover that. But do you like your first quarter? Raptors +3 in this one.